Hey, hey, beautiful people. It is March the 2nd, 2015 at 1:58 p.m. I'm down on the Mississippi Gulf Coast. It's been raining today, and with that, I've had a break. This has been a long past couple of months as I've been moving all my tools and gear up to Memphis. And right now with this rain, uh, up in Memphis and all around the north end of Mississippi is just iced in, and it's amazing what's going on with the weather modifications these days. And you can't see it by satellite anymore like we used to. Like I used to have on my Facebook, or still have on my Facebook and my albums, where you can see the weather modifications that we used to be able to look at by satellite in real time when they were doing modifications. And now they've learned how to mask it, and so we can't see it. But I could see it in the clouds. I could see the frequencies and the waves in the clouds that was coming up above Keesler Air Force Base and the various Doppler radar stations, and in Memphis International Airport, and the naval base in Millington in Tennessee. And you can see when they're doing this stuff, although they've masked it, you can still see in the clouds when they're shooting the frequencies down. Anyway, very interesting. It doesn't bother me any. It's just it's one of those things, man, in technology and how it's used. Oh man, beautiful blue heron. Just said hi over there. You see him standing there? The animals these past months, it's just amazing how they are literally coming right up to me. I was moving a building these past couple of days, a 16 by 20 storage shed, and I had to move it about 25 feet over. And while I was working, there was this one female mockingbird that was constantly wanting to be right next to me and just checking out what I was doing. And this kind of stuff is just going on more and more and more with me. It's just like this guy. He's just sitting there just staring me down as I'm doing my video. The squirrels this morning, as I was drinking my coffee, were coming in and just checking out the human in the human zoo. Looking in the window, me watching them. That was really wild. This is where I am on the Gulf Coast. If you ever look in my Facebook photo albums, you'll see a bridge that was destroyed by Hurricane Katrina, and a bridge that the water was halfway up. Well, that's the bridge behind me, the replacement bridge right there. And then over here, up on the hill way down there on the other side of yeah, you can't really see it. That's where my family home is. And then this building right here that was destroyed by Katrina, that's just a square frame right there. If you ever look at my Facebook albums, that was the one that exploded. I watched that thing explode at 7:30 in the morning, and it went up in a big blue-green mushroom cloud. And I was outside on the beach right here taking pictures and having a blast. And man, I had a really good old time as everything else was falling apart. I had no idea what I was looking at, what I was witnessing. And that was 10 years ago now. August 29th, 2015 will be 10 years. And my family home is just now finally rebuilt, and we're cleaning it all up and getting things put back into place that we've had in storage, and taking out all the construction materials that needs to go elsewhere, and ready to start doing landscaping and stuff like that again. The old public pier, it's just like this one you can see in those Hurricane Katrina photographs, with the water all the way up to the top of the pavilion, just like is right behind me here. And and you could see as that whole building collapsed. And the building over here that I was describing exploding, I was a quarter mile away from it, and pieces of it was a seafood factory, and pieces of the tractor trailer rigs and their freezers exploded. Going out towards the sea, out this way. When it went boom, the south is right here. And when the storm was coming in from here, and at that time at 7:30 in the morning, we were having steady 80 to 100 mile per hour winds. And when that flash went off and the big blue-green mushroom cloud went up, and I'd just taken a picture of it, and then all of a sudden it went boom. And I was hiding behind a tree. I had a pine tree at that time that I had my back to as I was watching all the debris go past me. And I was out there shooting with my camera. And then it goes boom, and I turned around and just caught it. And pieces of that building and the trailers went flying out towards the sea and landed quarter mile away past where I was. Right in front of me, and I caught all that on film. That was pretty freaking wild. Well, what a trip since Hurricane Katrina, and it's been like a giant whirlwind since. And we got another leveling up coming in right now. Sandra Walter, I had just listened to your newest radio show, and on that show, you were talking about the leveling up that many hundreds, if not thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of us are going through right now as we're coming up to the spring equinox. And I agree with you. It's just happened to me too. But what's interesting is your description of what you're going through, Sandra, and what I'm going through. I am fully grounded in the energies that are incoming in my experience as a gatekeeper. But where you were mentioning about having to slow back down into the ninth dimension and the more material dimensions, the ninth being the divine consciousness, eighth, the light, seventh, the sound, sixth, the emotions, fifth, the field, the power center, fourth, connection to everybody, third, well, I'm grounded. But what's happening to me, my last initiation was with Malene LaFont, and I was receiving my universal Merkaba, my 15th ascension initiation, that was caught on film, that you could see all the encodings coming down in, all the magnetics, all the streams of the building blocks for creation of new earth. That was my last major initiation. And I've been integrating it ever since. I had wondered when I would go through another one, and so many of them had happened so quickly before that one, and that was what, September 2013, and here we have 2014 and 2015 has gone by, and I haven't had another major activation initiation. I've had some, increases in my frequency and in my light field, but just after I did the New Year's vid and the ceremony vid in Tennessee, which were my last videos, I haven't done many since because I've been going so fast. I probably put 15,000 miles on my truck in the past 2 months, in January and February, and I've been from Memphis to the Gulf Coast many times, and then over to Houston. And a neat story about going to Houston about 2 weeks ago. with George H.W. Bush staying at his penthouse right near where I was staying, and Schwarzenegger coming in over there. That was Mardi Gras time, and that was Good Friday through, or not Good Friday, Fat Tuesday that that I was there, and they were talking about Schwarzenegger being there for several days to spend with H.W. Bush. You've heard me speak even this year about H.W. Bush. It's quite interesting how I had to go and be right there when that gathering was happening. And a lot of times, you know, how energies are ceremonially moved, and especially when there's a lot of people gathering for something like Mardi Gras, or if you've got a war or something going on, or even going to church, masses. That's how 4D utilizes the energies and uses those energies for their creation. They can gather and guide, and that's really what it is. Funnel the energies into materialization of those things they wish. Same thing we do. I mean, doesn't matter which side we're playing on. We do things in similar ways within similar dimensions, but every dimension is going to have its own parameters of its physics and governing laws of how things work. It's just how it works. Anyway, this leveling up with me happened as I was moving my gear from here to Tennessee, and I was going through a mourning for someone I had a relationship with. And that relationship put me into my ascension initiations and activations. I activated my heart chakra with this person just after we had split, and something happened that that pulled us apart, and I couldn't go back to the way things were, and I was already activated when I finally saw this person again, and we were literally on two different planes of understanding. And when you activate your heart chakra, you're stepping into a fifth dimensional perspective, and you have to live at the highest integrity possible. You have to be really concerned about other people. You can't go lie. There's no manipulation or deceiving. You've got to be a children of the sun, and you've got to have gotten all those ghosties out of your closet to be able to go into those levels. You have to have cleared up 51% or more of your karma and be in your heart more than 50%, 51% of the time. And that's just a part of that fifth initiation, activation of heart chakra into 5D. And that's just how it works. I mean, how we all get there is going to be different for each and every one of us. But that we will go through that process. Anybody on the Ascension timeline, that's exactly what they're going to go through at some point or another. I remember George Kavasilis in 2009 with Lisa Harrison. Lisa asked me to do a radio show when I was getting the first 8,000 people activated, and I turned it down. I didn't feel called to do that at that point. I was kind of overwhelmed. And I was told to come out the months before, but I had remembered what happened to me in the late 80s and early 90s when I started talking about this stuff, and how close it came to getting me in some serious trouble, and how many of my other friends ended up getting locked up because they were kind of thought to be kooky or crazy because they were talking about ascension back then. So I didn't want to do the radio show at that time, and George Cavassalis ended up going on with Lisa Harrison, and Lisa was asking George about activation, and George said, well, it doesn't matter, it's going to happen to everybody, you hadn't got to do anything. But I have to tell you, 5 years later, ascension is a choice. It doesn't happen to you. You have to decide, I want to ascend to go into those higher levels. I mean, it's not a given. You have to do the work, period. No ifs, ands, or buts. And that goes back to the morning. And ascension was one of the off-limit topics of all things with this one individual who I still love very dearly, but who committed relationship suicide. And we haven't talked since. And it's like she died. And I never let her go. I never came to terms with that. And I've had to do that January and February as I was making this move to Tennessee. I realized I've just gone into hyperdrive. As I've gone through this next initiation, it's like being on the Star Trek Enterprise, and you know, previously you're going at less than light speed up to light speed, and then all of a sudden you want to hit times 10, light speed times 10. It goes, engage hyperdrive, and you can see all the stars coming at you. Well, that's what I feel like. That's what's happened. And it happened as I came to terms, and I did this morning. Man, all the seagulls everywhere just sailing on the winds and just having the best of times out there, and it looks so beautiful. Everything around me is so magical. It's just, everywhere I look, it's so beautiful, so magical. But I had to drop the veils that I had, which engaged and kept that love at the most premium on a pedestal. And to realize I've gone through a process now, and did so at such a time that few others, unless they're of Archangel Michael's legions and came here knowing about ascension, which ascension was the topic we couldn't discuss, unless you're of that first group, that's about the only way you could catch up, and you could raise the frequencies to engage in the hyperdrive that we've just shifted into. And I'm there. I'm there. What's happened with me, and as I listened to your video, Sandra, and you were talking about needing to remain more centered at your center point, going out spherical and within the ascension column. What has happened with me is I've stepped into that 10, 11, and 12D, 10th, 11th, and 12th dimensional levels of magnetics. That's the hyperdrive. That's what has just happened to me in these past weeks as I've gone through this morning process. I had to actually kind of get angry. I never was angry at the person who put me there, but it's like when you have a friend or a lover who commits suicide or just decides to drop you and go with somebody else, then and doesn't tell you, doesn't really give you a reason for what happened. Sometimes you have to kind of get angry and upset to go through that mourning process. And it's that mourning process that I never went through over these past 5 years. And it was a problem for me when I was with other individuals too. I'd be with some other light worker chickies and making love, and then all of a sudden I'm seeing this person's face. That ain't cool. It's not cool at all. And so anyway, that mourning process was, I had to get angry. I had to get upset. I had to really feel into, I had to remove the veils and see what happened and see the things that I didn't like. It's not that the person's a bad individual, not at all. We've all got our hang-ups. I drink wine, you know. So what? Everybody does whatever they're doing. Everybody's in their learning experience. But if you love someone so much that you can't get over it, then you've got to do something to really come to grips with it can't be anymore. And I'm here for the ascension. I'm here as a gatekeeper. I'm here as a way shower. I'm here, I've got a mission. And it's not about an individual. It's about a planet. It's about a galaxy. It's about this universe. It's about the multiverse. I'm part of the original beings that created this project. That's why I'm here now teaching Ascension. You know, I've done this several times, and I can't get hung up about an individual. And with that, I had to find out how to get to the next level, and that was by removing the veils of what I didn't like, didn't want to see, or what couldn't be again, and seeing it for what it is, although I still have absolute unconditional love, still in love. But with that, I was able to accept the relationship suicide that happened. And that's when I went into hyperdrive. And it's funny because it happened about a week and a half ago. It actually happened when I was in Houston, and I was going over there to pick up a boat. It's my grandfather's boat that he had given to my uncle, and then my uncle had given it to my cousin, and so I had to go pick it up in Houston. That's when I found out about H.W. Bush and Schwarzenegger. That was the most amazing time to be there. And it's kind of funny because even in that video where I was doing ceremony at Heart of Turtle Island, I was talking about that was 24 years to the day that H.W. Bush had invaded Iraq, and those darker ceremonies had occurred. And that was really interesting how all that happened. But it was when I went to Houston that next initiation unfolded. Hi guys.
Hey.
How are y'all?
Good.
Yep, he's been hanging out there ever since I walked up. Yeah. Beautiful, isn't he?
Yeah, he is.
Yeah, he was like coming to see what I was doing. Oh yeah, like that big long beard.
Yeah.
Yep. So anyway, the initiations have resumed again, and this next level is dealing with magnetics. Magnetics is the root of all creation. When you're looking at dimensions, even above divine consciousness is really more of the ninth dimensional aspect. And oh man, the seagulls are just coming in over here too, just so beautiful. Breathtaking. But above that divine consciousness is magnetics. Below the divine consciousness, ninth dimension, becomes light, third eye. Third eye is related to eighth dimension, sound. Throat chakra is relating to seventh dimension. heart chakras relating to sixth-dimensional emotions, always in a state of change, fluxing in and out. But this new initiation for me is into the magnetics. And magnetics is light that has not been yet polarized by thought. When you're considering what divine creation is, you're actually having a plan to make something, and that takes magnetics and creates a polarization with the plan. So you've got the individual, and then his encirclement, you've got the divine plan and its encirclement, which overlays, which is the Vesica Pisces, or the vibration of the experience. And so ninth dimension, the divine thought, is actually taking the magnetics and polarizing it to come into form, to slow it into light, to slow from thought into light, into sound, into material reality. This last initiation that I've experienced has been into the 10th dimensional, 11th dimensional, and 12th dimensional magnetics, that which is at a higher level of the building blocks of matter. It's kind of like being in a nebula where stars are created, and you have this whole cloud that's almost like a it's like a cloud, and all of the substance within that cloud is attracted by gravity or attracted by magnetics and begins to form into stars, into solar systems, into galaxies, and it's that sensation that I'm experiencing as my field expands with these new initiations. How do you describe that to somebody? I don't know any better than what I'm describing here. I've been trying to describe ascension initiations in the process for years now, and every time I hit a level, I'm playing around with things that I've never heard anybody else express before. And so I do the best I can to express my experience in my initiation process. And it's a sensation. At this level, I'm not seeing form. It's not something that is thought or is visualized with the third eye or the pineal gland, and it's a sensation. It's magnetics. You can feel it, and there's various levels, and that's what's happened since I went to Houston. That's what's happened in these past few weeks. That's what's happened as we're coming into the spring equinox and this leveling up that you were talking about, Sandra. And a lot of us are going to be leveling up to our next the next parts of our process. Everybody's on different levels. I've been doing this for a long time, and it's interesting to get to this point and to have an experience that I've never heard anybody else describe before. I'm just gonna have to wait and see how it all unfolds. I'm sensing that within each aspect of this, and I'm only attuning to that 10, 11, and 12D right at this point, that I'll have various experiences, or almost like how you'd have a file folder in a filing case, and you can, whatever you're filing in that file folder has different meaning to the individual filing it. It seems to me that I will be able to better express my feelings of the magnetics that I'm experiencing, polarization or pre-polarization, it's like 10D has some polarization to it. 11D has less polarization to it, and 12D has no polarization. It's the building blocks. It's just like the encodings that you were seeing in the Milene LaFont video. And you can see the streamers coming down in my field as I'm seeing it with my third eye, and I'm not seeing what the camera's capturing, but I can see the streamers that was caught on the film. That's the same type experience that I'm having now. I can feel it. I can't see it, but I sense it. And how to describe it? We're just gonna have to go with the flow until I have words to express my experience. And anyway, and those people came up and they were looking at the heron, and he's still sitting over there. Isn't that just so cool? He just flew up right as I came, and I was expressing my experience. And he's sitting there listening. It's just like that mockingbird as I was moving the building. I mean, that mockingbird was not even 4 to 5 feet away from me. And it took me 2 days to move this structure. Actually, a couple of days before that to prep it. And I did it by hand. I didn't do it with the trailer and forklift and heavy equipment. I did it all by hand. A couple of 1,000-pound building. And that mockingbird was always sitting right next to me and all day long and just checking me out, just watching me. And I saw the same mockingbird today when I was walking out. It's just amazing how the animals are acting around me. It's so magical. It's so beautiful. So incredible. Love the salt smell in the air, the smell of the ocean. It is good to be back home. As you said, Sandra, about having a difficult time dealing with people on a linear level, emails and talking to people and feeling short. I've been going through that for some time now. And it's good for me to be back on the family forum or on the road where I don't have to put up with anybody. I've spoken to Tinkerbell, Trish Will. It was Wendy Moria, Angela Darling that committed the relationship suicide, and here Tinkerbell's getting ready to come down to the family forum and be with me. Heart Eternal Island. Help me do the activations there. Participate. Live. I'm looking forward to that. That's really interesting. In like I've said before, anybody who feels called, get in touch with James Brown and come on down. But as I'm looking at how all this is played out, and I don't care whether it's the Wendy Tinkerbell and me Peter Pan story, or the back to the 666 and George H.W. Bush in the ceremony 24 years to the day later, or where I was at Fat Tuesday during Mardi Gras, right next, I wasn't even a mile away from his high-rise, his skyscraper that his penthouse is in. He wouldn't dare come down to the ground. He's got a helicopter in and out. That's the only way for that to happen. Oh man, oh man, oh man. Yeah, it's really, really interesting how all that's played out. Even to right here where I am. This place was destroyed, Hurricane Katrina. Weather modification, that was a man-made storm. I didn't realize it at the time. I was called to be here. I was right on Front Beach. We had 145 mile per hour sustained winds for 6 hours. We had hurricane force winds for about 14 hours. And when I first started watching it come on shore, it was saying it was 185 mile per hour sustained winds. I was like, uh-oh, I'm not going to make it through this one. And I was here and it was too late to go anyplace else. But what a wonderful, wonderful experience, life experience that turned out to be for me. It was most magnificent. When I lost the fear, then everything just flowed. Everything became magical. I was protected in a light bubble when all the bits and pieces, you see the wood in here? Could you imagine if you look in my video or look in my pictures of in the middle of the storm, you'll see some photographs that were taken about, I want to say it was 9:30, something like that in the morning. And there's a series of 5 pictures, and you can watch all the debris landing around me. There's one shot in there where if you look at it closely, these 2x6s, just like what I'm sitting on here, you can count 50 of those. 50 of those flying through the air in front of me at the same time. They were going through houses and going through trees, and I was using these ancient live oaks like you see over there. Those ancient live oaks, those were my shields. And I keep the live oak to my back or have my hand on it, so in case it started coming down, I'd step out of the way, but that was my shield for all the missiles coming through. That was a really, really beautiful experience. And then we had just right over the horizon, see where that dredge is out there? If you were to go straight out past that, about 75 miles, that's where the deep horizon Gulf oil spill unfolded. And during the Gulf oil spill, that was during the second 40-day event of heart activation globally. That was in 2010. Good Friday was when I was called to put that message out. And on the 20th, the Gulf oil spill unfolded. You could see the flames from here. And you could see the smoke as they were burning it off. It looked like it was this big radioactive green. Oh man, I got a couple of breaths of that and thought I was going to die. I mean, that was just, it was bad, really bad. And I kept on coming out every evening to right here. And I was focusing my light, my power, my ki, my prana, keeping the oil out. From 25 miles that way, Bay St. Louis, to 25 miles that way, Dauphin Island, there was a perfect semicircle out to Ship Island, 12 miles out, where the oil never came in. We had oil rains here from the Crexit. The Crexit would, evaporate up into the convection rains in the evening, and it'd rain oil here. And the newspapers, I was documenting it all, and the newspapers never would carry it. I was telling everybody what I was doing. I was coming down here and I was focusing my light, my energy, and I was keeping that oil out. Everybody thought I was nuts. That was in April to July of 2010, and it was September 29 when Archangel Michael's had come out, speak publicly, tell everybody everything you do and do it now. And I was going, no, and nothing worked until I did. And then everything just fell perfectly into place. And then it was amazing. I was supposed to get 8,000 people heart chakra activated around the planet. And on Facebook, you could only have 5,000 friends, and that was the limit. They didn't have subscribers or followers back then. And 5,000 people found me on Facebook just like that. I was like, good gosh. That was most amazing. And we did it. We had to have 8,000 people on this planet heart chakra activated in November, December 2009. The square root of 1% of the planetary population, so that we could start this big wave go out around the planet. It was the first 40 days heart chakra activation, 40 days no negativity. And the second one encapsulated the Gulf oil spill perfectly. It was 18 days before the Gulf oil spill. I was told to put that out. 18 broken down to 666. And then after the Gulf oil spill, during the Gulf oil spill, in June, I was told to go to Sedona, and at the end of August, or actually 1st of August, I finally left here and went to Sedona, and that's when I completed the activation of all 7 original major chakras. Stepped into 6D. It's been a wild ride. It's been a really wild ride. We're in hyperdrive now, and we can't go back. You go back, and just like if we were on a spaceship and we left this planet and we went hyperdrive into space, when we come back, if we were gone for a few minutes hyperdriving out into space, when we come back, we'd have been gone 50, 60 years. It's the same thing that's going on right now. That's why this morning had to happen with me. I had to release hopes and dreams of a future relationship with that individual, because she hadn't caught up. She hadn't done her work. She didn't believe and trust. She was on a wait and see mode, like so many people for so long have been. Ascension is not a spectator sport. You got to get in there and do it. You've got to call it in. And as you do, as you level up, your life will never be the same again. There's going to be relationships. Your whole life situation will change. Nothing will ever be the same again. That's why it scares a lot of people. They hear us saying that, and they like being where they are. And it's okay for them to be where they are. But for those of us who are the way showers, for those of us who are the gatekeepers, those of us who are here for the ascension, for those of us who have ascended before and are coming back to bring that understanding to humanity and the collective, we can't be held back by anything, anybody, even love. That individual was the only person that could have stopped me from my mission, and I love her so very much. But we can't go back to what was. I can't go back to 3D job. I can't go back to building houses like this. I can't go back to the business world, the stuff. I just don't belong there anymore. Yes, it's right here. Yes, it's around me. I don't fit there anymore. Each and every person who's going through their ascension process has got to come to grips with that. And 4333. And they've got to decide what it is they really want. And they need to be very clear about it. Solara, 1111 Solara from Invisible website. The one who gathers for to open the 1111 doorway, January 11th, 1992. That Solara, different from Solarian Ra, but that Solara said years ago that when it comes time, that there'll be those of us that make it to octave 7, 7th dimension. Just see, when you get fully within the heart, you're always attuning to that next dimension that's above you. Or in any initiation, whatever initiation your guides or your messages are coming from that next higher dimension that you were attuned to at that time. You can't jump past what you haven't accomplished unless it's a block, kind of like these magnetics. Magnetics is a block, although there's different rules within the block. But what Solara had said back then was that there would be a lot of persons choosing ascension, and that was back when we were going to have two Earths. Now we've got Earth over an Earth. Spiritual Earth right on top of the 340 Earth. Persons that are ascending while still in form right here. And Solara had said that a lot of persons in their ascension process would make it to the seventh level, seventh gate, and they'd be fine there. They didn't want to take it any farther. It's just like activating your heart chakra and not really wanting to go with the full meal deal and activate all 7 chakras, or then go galactic, which is spherical, which is really 6D. 5D is still linear, still vertical. 6D is spherical. And she said there would be a lot of us that would want to further our oneness, and a lot of us felt that that was together. We'd be merging together. But that oneness is within self. And that oneness is going to the even deeper and deeper and deeper levels. And the problem is you have to release everything and center your focus so on target, because you're going inside. You find the bullseye, which is the sacred spot within the heart, and go into the bullseye. And then you find the bullseye of the bullseye and go into the bullseye of the bullseye. And then it's always going to the center point of the center point over and over and over and over and over. And you expand spherically. That's what happens in 6-dimensional awareness. That's what happens as you turn into the star that you are. As you go into the true oneness. It's just like what I said about the Interior conversion. The Interior conversion is coming out of the duality, spiraling into that center point, and then you start spiraling out into the oneness. But the oneness we always thought was, or at least I thought, was on the exterior, but it's really on the interior. And the interior was the connection. The smaller the hourglass was the connection with all the higher levels of self. The full activation of all and integration of all the higher levels of self. Bill Ballard, light being. Manna, my angelic being. Archangel Michael, which I'm a great fractal of. Metatron, prime creator. And then you are all of that into the one being, and you start expanding back out, 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 with all the embodiments of prime creator, your archangel, whoever you are, your angelic self, whoever you are, your light being self, and then your physical body. That is the interior conversion. That's the oneness. I couldn't ever really comprehend that until I experienced it. And when Solara had told us 25 years ago now, 25 years ago now, that we would come together in the oneness, we thought it was everybody else out there. But that's not it. It's us with our higher levels of self. That's it. And so a lot of the understanding, a lot of the messages that were coming through back then, they've turned out to be absolutely dead on target, but our understanding of what would unfold was what was missing. And like you said, Sandra Walter, in your last video, and I'm gonna put that video link for everybody to see in the see more description under this video of YouTube on YouTube. What you had said, I couldn't really. Boy, I just lost that one. And it doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter. I feel so goofy. I am just here being. I feel more. Okay, this is what it was. What I feel now is more of the magnetics. These past 2 weeks since this initiation started coming in, and I began actualizing it, I perceive myself as those energies I feel more than the physical vessel that I'm holding. Those energies are me. Those magnetics are me. The magnetics that I'm feeling in this initiation is the purest of all creation. That was pretty good. Just let it flow. Read the field. Don't try to think. Get out of the ego. Get out of the head and read the field. That's what ascension is all about. Alexander Del Sol, I have to agree with you. My dear friend who's the recovering intellectual, the Berkeley graduate who has now found ascension. Yeah, recovering intellectuals. See, intellect is not what ascension is all about. Ascension is about consciousness, and consciousness and intellect are two different things. Intellect is something that you get from a book or going to school or having somebody tell you that this is how it is. In consciousness, you cannot get by intellect. You're not going to get by, you're not going to gain consciousness by reading a book. You're not going to gain consciousness by following somebody else. You can only gain consciousness by going inside and attuning to the feelings, attuning to the field that you are. Higher levels of self, the higher dimensions, however you want to term it or call it. That is how you get consciousness. Consciousness can get you into the understandings of the truths of every different dimension, because there are going to be different truths in each and every dimension. What is 3D truth is not 4D truth, and what is 4D truth is not 5D truth, and what is 5D truth is no longer valid in 6D or 7D or 8D. And you can't get any of that by being in the intellect. You can only get that from the consciousness, and the consciousness is the field. And the various dimensions are the various octaves of frequency that you are experiencing as you are attuning to your various higher levels of self that you fractalize and fractalize and fractalize and fractalize from, which in 6D becomes spherical. It's no longer linear. Used to, it was your chakras that you attuned to that gave you that dimensional awareness. In 6D, it's spherical. And when you're attuning to the 10th, 11th, and 12th, there's no form. It's no light. It's magnetics. It is unpolarized. It is not slowed in vibration into a thought that becomes polarization, into a light which has various frequencies and colors, into sound which has a vibration that is much more substantial, into the emotion, into fifth dimension and fourth dimension and third dimension that is the material world. Man, this is just so beautiful. And our friend is still here. Still right there saying hi to me. Let's see if we can go over there and talk to him. Hiya. You want to let these people get a good look at you? I can't see if... Yeah, he's right there. Look at that big old beard. He sure is beautiful. Look at all the seagulls coming in. I don't know if you can see it. Just everywhere. And the fog on the bridge. It is absolutely gorgeous today. Gorgeous as it can be. I do love to be on the coast. Now I got my grandfather's boat back. That means I can come out here and go mulleting and floundering and other things when the weather, actually flounder season should be coming in here in the next few weeks when the water starts warming. This is the boat my grandfather and I used to go out to Deer Island out here back when I was a kid. You could there were so many fish in the water. You could find a school of mullet and drive through it. They were jumping in the boat. You didn't even have to throw your net. My grandfather's a big net fisherman like I am. And he taught me. And this boat that I just picked up in Houston, he tossed me out of that thing a few times. He'd like, there's the fish, throw your net. I threw the net. I'd say, go right, hang me into it. He'd go left, and out the boat I'd go. From here to Deer Island, mile and a half away. That's it doesn't get much deeper than about 4 or 5 feet. I mean, except in the channel, and it might get about 10 or 12. But it was no big deal if he tossed me out. But we used to have so much fun. What a blast! Yeah, it's good to be back here. But I certainly feel the energies of persons awaking. Like I said before, when I was here in May of 2014, across the bridge that's behind me here, I got a big bag of crystals and I programmed them. And I went and dropped them in the water, one by one by one, all the way across that bridge where they could never be found or pulled out. And when I did that, it changed the frequencies around here. There was a few other crystals that I had to take to Panama City over there, where a lot of people are awake in Panama City. But around here, there were very few people that were in their ascension process and going through it at that time. The frequencies were kind of a bit low here, and it sure has changed since then. It's a world of difference now. Anyway, it's telling me I've got 14% remaining on this battery, and so I'm going to stop it now. It's at 57 minutes and 57 seconds. Love you all. We are hitting hyperdrive. That's fact, Jack. What's going to happen from here? I don't know. I'll keep you updated as I feel the need to do another video. We'll see if I publish this one. Not. I got to go watch it first. Used to, I didn't have to, but now I'm going to check it out before I publish it because I got to go find some place to do it. Anyway, love y'all. Bye for now.